Welcome to Red and Blue. I'm Ed O'Keefe in Washington. Thank you for joining us. An Energy Department report has concluded with low confidence that it's plausible COVID-19 leaked out of a laboratory in China. It's unclear whether it was accidental, but the assessment is reigniting the debate in Washington over the origins of the virus. Multiple Republican lawmakers are now claiming the report means they were correct about the issue all along. A new Republican-led committee on the origins and response to the pandemic is also investigating the possibility the virus leaked out of a Chinese lab. For more on this and the other day's events, let's turn to Scott MacFarlane and Weijia Jiang. Scott, of course, the CBS News Congressional correspondent up on Capitol Hill. And my booth mate, Weijia, is CBS News' senior White House correspondent. Hello to you both. Scott, let's start with you. A few things here. Is it too cynical to say the timing of this report is beneficial to Republicans who are continuing to investigate not only the pandemic, but also more broadly China?
They were just beginning to message on this issue as part of their new House majority. They have this new select subcommittee on the coronavirus. They also have a new select committee on China. They also have newly empowered chairmen of other powerful committees. And right now they're all swarming on this report, calling for an expansion of investigations. The coronavirus subcommittee wants to broaden the investigation. We reported last week. Last week we told you they were seeking documents from Anthony Fauci and the Health and Human Services agencies. Now they want records from the FBI, from the Department of Energy, and from the Department of State. That select China committee wants information declassified by intelligence teams so that they can have a piece of this. What this is setting up, Ed, is a classic turf war with multiple committees wanting a piece of the same issue because the timing really is something. They're just taking over the majority. They were just starting to message on this. And now there are new revelations indicating they're barking up a proper tree.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it for sure. And Weijia, this, of course, is an issue that comes up every so often. The White House gets a little defensive about it. You asked John Kirby, the national security spokesman, about this earlier today. Let's take a look.
Back in October 2021, it was also the case that there was no consensus from the intelligence community, where COVID came from. Without revealing sensitive information, has the IC gathered new information, new intelligence since then that might have led DOE to draw a different conclusion?
We, again, without confirming the press reporting on the Department of Energy's work here, and the context for them is that they run the national labs, and the president wanted the national labs involved here. Again, a whole of government effort. The work is still ongoing. There hasn't been a final conclusion arrived at here.
So, Weijia, while this is a politically beneficial thing for Republicans at the street at the Capitol, Scott just reminded us, doesn't the White House have to handle this a little differently given tense relations with China, but also the administration's oversight of the pandemic?
Absolutely, and that's exactly why we just heard right there Admiral John Kirby, who speaks on behalf of the National Security Council. It was not a direct accusation of any kind towards China. It was not even firm with regard to this new report that comes out. And one thing we have to remember is that the actual conclusion has not changed. That is not new. It has remained the same since President Biden ordered multi-agency investigation into this back in May 2021. The reason I brought up October 2021 is because back then there was a declassified intelligence report about the origins of COVID. And at that time, there was no consensus, just like there isn't right now in the intelligence community. Yes, there are two agencies now that have low confidence that this may have started in a lab. There are four agencies that are leaning toward it starting from animal to human transmission. And then there are two, including the CIA, who say there's simply not enough information to draw any kind of conclusion. So I think, what I was trying to get out there is what changed between the last time the administration released a report and now. And that is something that they are reluctant to say for a variety of reasons, but certainly one of them because, it could be viewed as a provocation if China is looking at what every single word the U.S. is saying, especially without that consensus to lean on.
Yeah, and it's a sensitive situation and a notable leak to a publication, the Wall Street Journal, that obviously does well with Republicans. So you may have to read into the motivations behind that. But either way, as you point out correctly there, Weijia, and thank you for doing that, multiple intelligence agencies being consulted, and plenty of disagreement among all of them about what exactly may have happened. Now, Scott, as the Republicans in the House prepare for these hearings on the coronavirus pandemic and on threats to China, from China, which are, of course, designed in part to discredit the Biden White House, have they any plans to focus on how the Trump administration handled all of this? Because remember, there's been some reporting on what then President Trump thought of all this in China and concerns about upsetting President Xi. Are the Republicans going to focus on that at all?
They haven't said as much, but there are Democrats on this panel. They're not boycotting these select committees the same way Republicans largely boycotted that January 6th select committee. Really, this is an issue of symmetry, Ed. In the last Congress, they had a select committee on January 6th, and they had a select committee on COVID. Republicans have taken over. They have created a select committee on the weaponization of government, trying to get the same budget and staff size as the January 6th committee, and they've created their own COVID subcommittee. But we're 3 years in now, and they are trying to find their footing. What voice are they going to speak with on this COVID subcommittee? They came out of the gates talking about the Wuhan lab leak as a primary issue of focus, and this has become the news of the week. So this committee will launch a hearing likely in the coming days. It's not prescriptive that they talk about the Trump administration's handling or mishandling, but there are Democrats on the panel, including Raul Ruiz of California, who says they have to look at all aspects of this from both parties.
We'll see how they do that. Weijia, on another matter, the White House is also playing defense and forced to explain things on the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. There's a pattern to this, it seems. With this White House, we've seen it with previous White Houses, that when they're under the gun on something, they start compiling lists to show us what they've done to address the problem. That's exactly what this White House did. So what are they doing to address it, and how are they defending the response?
Well, this morning, Ed, I'm sure you got this email too. The White House sent out a very lengthy list of all the things that they did following the derailment. 4 pages, in fact, a TikTok, if you will, of what every government agency did in the hours, starting in the hours right after this happened. And that is to support what President Biden said on Friday when he last made public remarks about this. He said he was not planning to go to East Palestine, Ohio, reiterating that, you know, we, as in the federal government, was there 2 hours after it happened. And the fact that, you know, he says the federal government is here to help the state, to help everyone impacted by this as much as they can, and that they aren't going anywhere, as evidenced by the phone calls that the president made to various leaders in that state, as evidenced by the response just 2 hours after the derailment from the agencies who would typically respond. And their whole argument, Ed, as you very well know, is that, you know, in the immediate aftermath of a disaster like this, it is not the time for the president or the cabinet secretary to show up, right? They want to allow the emergency response teams to do their jobs. And in this case, the president says he didn't get any requests to go there. And we obviously have been hearing from Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who said that, you know, as soon as the calls were there for him to go, he started planning a trip. But, you know, despite all of that, optics matter, Ed. And whenever you have people who are hit with not just any other train derailment, a very specific one that has led to, you know, a disaster, an environmental emergency, you know, to have those officials from the White House, to have a face on this might mean something to those people there, which is why they were so quick to criticize the president and others for not showing up.
Right. And as of now, still no plan for him to go to Ohio to inspect the damage, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. There are some gaps in this week's schedule. Stay tuned. Scott MacFarlane on Capitol Hill, Weijia Jiang at the White House. Thank you both so much.